Lucky to have all these tournaments on, I suppose. But I think we'll let the players and the administrators have that headache. We're, I suppose, fortunate to be working on them both. We'll see what happens. But it's a good event, the Champions. Always no ranking points, but pretty prestigious. Because if you're wondering how John Higgins is in it, given that we know he's been, after a few hard luck stories, he won the Championship League, which is, of course, not what he'd like to be in it on the back on, because so many tournaments since then have been near misses for him. Jordan Brown has played in it before, and of course he could get in it if he won this week. And if there's a repeat winner, Ding Junhui appears, having won the 6 Reds World Championship. Right now, though, Jordan Brown is looking pretty forthright with the way he's playing, although I'm not sure how easy it'll be to get on his next red from here. The angle on the pinks just coming away from the reds. Might have to be a plant to the right corner. Never going to be an easy shot.
Jordan Brown, 16. One.
Well, big shot here.
7.
Just to run through the red above it and the edge of the bunch, because he might happen to free the pink spot here in the process.
8.
Which I think he has. And I don't know if that's in his favour. The pink spot is now free. It will go to the left corner when respotted. But of course it wasn't free before that last shot. Well, it doesn't matter if it's free if you're missing those.
John Higgins.
It's very unlike John Higgins. Said you won't see many blacks missed off the spot. It was actually a pink off the black spot, but it amounts to the same thing.
1.
Now, Jordan Brown on the back of the Higgins error. If you can punish him, that will hurt John. He knows he's made a bad mistake there. He knows that the onus is on you if you get a good chance to take it this week, because favourable scoring conditions.
7. Eight.
That was literally a head scratcher, wasn't it? John Higgins, that miss on the pink. Most unexpected. Jordan there was hoping to be able to promote a few reds, but he clearly can't do that. Got to be quite precise with this cue ball to get on the red. Yeah, that's pretty good. And the potential here, providing this shot goes to plan,
14.
to go ahead and win the frame. obvious cannon is going to push the Reds far and wide.
They played it
50.
really nicely. Played it really well, because you can screw it off in the middle. But he got into the cue ball enough to just get the cue ball before the middle bag. Seems to be the constant bleeping of somebody's phone going on in the background, which I think most players just seem to ignore it now, but keeps on going off. Something's happening. Somebody sounds like they're receiving about 100 text messages a minute. But Jordan is just playing through it. What a chance for 3-1.
It's one of those funny ones. If there's umpteen messages on phones, then you don't hear it. If there's one, then completely knocks you off your stride. But it's not knocking Jordan Brown off his stride. Plenty of loose Reds here to get this frame won before he has to tackle
27.
difficult ones. 28 in front, let's say 28 and 41. Sorry, 28 and 21 off the 3 open Reds. Still will need one of the 3 that are quite near the side cushion.
Yes, I think the black being safe is probably helping actually. Although he's at the table scoring, I think he's not disappointed that black's where it is, because clearly that's a bigger problem for John Higgins, if anything. But he's fully aware of frames like this.
$35. $41.
Yeah, okay, so looking for 1 red in addition to that one. Oh, he's played that very nicely.
42.
He's given himself options there by playing on the blue, bound to be obviously either side of it. And if it's a natural, no problem dropping in behind that one, which would be frame ball. Yeah, concern on the face of John Higgins at the moment. Just 1 or 2 mistakes creeping into his game. You don't mind the odd mistake, they will happen, of course they will. That's always going to be the case. It's when they are unforced errors like that pink was. So no heroics with the red, just drop it in.
48.
Yes, and he's good for his lead, you know. 3-1, it could easily have been 4-0, but I don't think that matters quite as much now. John has got bigger things to consider. The ball he missed, the pink from the black spot.
Pink.
So it's a scoreline that John Higgins could have no complaints about.
John Brown, 48. And the frame.
Yeah, and John Higgins has had more than enough. So Jordan Brown, I agree with Neil Folds, more than merits his 3-1 interval advantage. Could have been even better than that. They go to the interval then, with the Northern Irishman firmly in charge of this last 16 encounter. He leads 3 frames to 1. And for the second half of this quite interesting match so far. Jordan Brown's, I think, been by far the better of the 2 and could feasibly be 4-0 in front, but 3-1 is perfectly acceptable. It always is at this level. John Higgins, one or two mistakes that have been uncharacteristic of him this week so far. But a long way to go, of course. Best of 11, first to 6 for a place in tomorrow's quarterfinals.
A little bit close quarters this with the rest of it. I don't think it's likely to be a push shot because he's sort of coming away from the red. It's not straight, but it's still not an easy pot. He did quite well there. I mean, it's made a strange noise when he hit it, but I think it was just the cue hitting the rest or something. It's a well played shot.
Played that similar one earlier. Lovely contact on the pack of reds, full of intent as well. Looks in terrific nick, does Jordan Brown, but unlucky not to be on anything easier.
Jordan Brown, 8.
Yeah, no matter how good you are, no matter what form you're in, eventually you will miss a tricky one. But John Higgins firmly on the back foot at the moment. He's not traditionally, John Higgins, a practicer at mid-session intervals. You do get players who always practice. Think of Mark Selby being one. But John Higgins almost never goes in the practice room at an interval. Not saying he would have done or indeed would have needed to today, but sometimes it's a good idea just to keep the blood flowing in the cue arm.
Yeah, I always think that would depend really how you're playing. If you feel you're really struggling, or maybe you've had no table time. You know, perhaps in my playing day, which is a long time ago now, you know, I might have hit a few, but in general, if I was happy with my game, I wouldn't want to do that. Everyone's different, as Alan pointed out. Anyway, here's the shot he's faced with. It's number red you can see. Oh, that's an absolute beauty. That really is. You saw the shot he was faced with. You could see a number of reds. There was no easy safety shot, so maybe again his mind was clear on what he had to try and do, and pot one was what he had to try and do. Now he's got to make sure that he takes advantage of this second bite of the cherries. He's awkwardly on the black. Little soft screw into the reds perhaps to hold it. Stop the cue travelling too far. Played it well. Is he on anything?
8. Nine.
Well, being on that bottom red was very helpful to him. What a chance again. I mean, he's outplaying John Higgins here. I mean, John could have no complaints, I would say. Reddy got in again with here. Was excellent.
17.
All those reds go to the left corner. He's in a prime position.
Two.
Lined up down the middle of the table to that left corner, as you can see. This time not perfect,
30.
but still is available to him.
$31. $36.
So he recovered that situation nicely. Yeah, best of 11 is a good session of snooker. I think a long best of 11 can be quite a grueling match. You could be out there 4.5, 5 hours. But it does, it kind of, at the moment, John could probably do with it being a long match because he's getting outpointed. The frame that he won, he was a long way behind.
42.
He could have lost all of these frames. Jordan's, if you like, taking the match to him. If there is such an expression as that, what he really is doing is he's being faced with long pots, but he's knocking in, getting in, and in the main, scoring well. 1 or 2 blips along the way. But there's no reason why this shouldn't be 4-1.
50.
Yes, it's another illustration, as if we needed it, of the strength and depth of the main tour. We know Jordan Brown's a terrific operator, knows his way around the game, around the circuit, tournament winner, all that stuff. We know that. But it's good to see players reminding us of the class that they do have. And Jordan's certainly been doing that in recent weeks. And he's not frightened of winning. That's the other thing, you know. I think there's still the odd player that maybe a wee bit frightened to go really deep in an event, especially against a legendary player. But not this fella, and he's nearly there as far as this frame's concerned.
Yeah, I mean, he's proved that he can do it, hasn't he, by winning that Welsh Open. I mean, he beat O'Sullivan. So, yeah, I think there's no doubt that he can do it, and others know that he can as well. I still think that his best match in that whole event was the Maguire semi-final. He was absolutely brilliant there. He played some of the best snooker I've seen him play. Prior to that, he beat Mark Selby in a lot of very tight matches. He had a match with Alex Ersenbacher he could have lost. Ultimately, as the week went on, the better he got. So, yeah, he knows he can do it. And he's about to take a 4-1 lead here. A couple of times John Higgins had conceded frames, which I felt he might carry on in, but he may not get the opportunity here until it's too late. But you know, he's falling off the pace in this match a little.
$65. $70. 71.
Yeah, I know the frame's won, but he's striking it as well as I've ever seen him. Looks super confident as well. He's trying to lift a couple of reds, hopefully. Still on it. Be nice to see him make a century. Breaks of 87 and 76 so far. This 78 and counting. All right, in the heart of the pocket.
79.
Yeah, I mean, you do well to make the century, obviously, with the two reds where they are placed. There might be two doubles.
86.
This right hand red into the left middle and the other way round on the other one. See how he gets on. Well, the man he's playing is known as the best doubler in the game, but if Jordan Brown gets an angle on the red, almost level with the red, I'd say, down the table here, and that looks pretty good. A lot of people don't realise with doubles, actually, a lot depends where the cue ball finishes to get onto it. It's not bad there. Still no rival to John Higgins, but at the moment he's playing good stuff.
Yes, he is. He's total control now of this match. Still 2 from victory, but he leads now 4 frames to 1. Yeah, so welcome back, and John Higgins has much to do to A, get himself back into this match, and B, have any aspirations of eventually winning it, because at the moment he's chasing shadows. Jordan Brown in total control, 4-1 to the good. The 4 frames he's won, John Higgins has only scored 15 points. And the frame that John Higgins did win, probably Jordan should have won that as well. So much to do to get back into things.
It's a very big frame for John Higgins to win, clearly. At this point, obviously he didn't almost need me to tell you that, but he knows it, because he's realised that his opponent is in very dangerous form today, Jordan Brown. I mean, he's got really good wins already over the course of this week. He's beaten David Gilbert in Tianjin, and also Kyron Wilson. So I suppose John Higgins knew that he was up against it on the basis of that, and it's proved to be the case. That's a good shot. That's well kid by Higgins.
1.
You've got to hit that with a degree of extra pace to get the cue ball away from the cushion in behind the blue, and that makes, from where he's cueing, the shot even more difficult. That's okay. He's on a choice of reds. Obviously, it's a little congested around the black spot. I mean, it's not so much that it's impossible to get on anything. It's just that with the red either side of it, they're not easy to get on, so the black remains tied up for the foreseeable. I think the red to the left of the black he could get on. at some point to the left corner, which would free things up, but then the other red would still be close to the black spot. Anyway, all these things are in the future. I think for now, Johnson's got to chip away.
7.
Well, that's cleared the pink spot quite nicely. So this is better from Higgins.
13. Fourteen.
Well, I think where the reds are surrounding the pink spot, I don't think John will be that concerned that the black's not really in play still. He can make do with what he's got down the centre of the table. Now, what's he done here? What's he done here? Has he held the spot? Does it go on the black spot? If so, that's a massive error. The fact that it might go is even a mistake. That was absolutely not part of the plan, I can tell you that.
20.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake for well, any player worth their salt on the tour, but certainly John. So working off blue and potentially brown for the time being.
I mean, he might get away with it and just be able to chip away and get to put the pink on the black spot is really the last thing that he wanted at that stage. So he must have been a little tense in the back arm on that last red to make the spot held, or the pink itself. Anyway, no doubt plough on.
26. Twenty-seven.
As
32.
ever, John playing for choice of reds. Not absolutely perfect on the 3 on offer. It's quite stressful, isn't it, when you've got to keep going back up top side of the blue. All right, low in the blue is not a huge issue with the green off its spot, but it's hard work at the moment. He's also got to show Jordan Brown that he's up for the fight. We know he will be, he generally is, and he's in good form. Jordan Brown will be paying close attention to this visit, sense any sign of weakness.
Must have been many years ago I heard some commentary about when the black is tied up, it's impossible to win the frame in one visit. Well, it's not true. You can win the frame with the black tied up. We see it quite often. Black and black, both out of the game, and that's getting to the point where it is difficult to get the frame because you're relying on the smaller colours, as Alan was saying. Especially when you tie them up of your own doing. Anyway, it's a healthy lead, but of course
38.
it just takes longer to get the frame won, and he desperately wants this one. He slips further behind. I'm not sure if there's a way back for him.
39.
Yeah, this time maybe just try and spring pink and black into the open. No, deciding to pick them off. It's such hard work, isn't it?
44.
I think I'd have been tempted to play the shot you said actually there, just to see what came of it all. Now that he's near, fairly close to the side cushion, makes his shot fractionally more difficult,
坐下
especially when people are moving on the shot behind you.
$45. $50.
There we go, the king of the doublers.
51.
When you look at, well, and the noise it made, absolutely flew into the pocket, crashed into the leather at the back of the pocket there. It's not as if it was like an exhibition shot. The frame is still very much alive. Now this time surely he goes into this 5 red combo and the pink and black.
$56.
He's getting onto his next colour. He's going to nudge off another red in doing so. Well, the break's still going anyway. I don't know how.
Yeah, an old saying in snooker holes, they'll never leave a mug a double, but John Higgins is no mug. And oh wow, just at the point when all the hard work has been done,
Higgins.
he's left the door ajar.
The only thing I'll say about that is that something has to give sometimes. Can't keep putting difficult balls without it. Eventually, the wheel falls off. And somehow it did, because the whole break was a struggle. Some of it of his own doing. He's in a good position to win this frame, but should he lose it, he would be incandescent, I should think.
One.
Just a glimmer here, maybe even more than a glimmer for Jordan.
Yes, in many ways that was a beautiful shot, that cannon, wasn't it? It was the dream leave. Getting the pink a little more in the open, black in its spot, the red goes past the pink, so yeah, I agree, more than a glimmer here. Just got to sort out these two reds. That one obviously no problem. This next one, if he can get that red by the black out of the equation, then things all of a sudden look quite rosy in the garden. No problem getting on it.
Now, I know we're not playing up to 5, we're playing up to 6, but it's almost match winning, isn't it, if he wins the frame from this position, or eventually just wins
16.
it. Especially in the context of how he would get there. Anyway, he's got work to do for that to be possible. Well, he just pushed it on the bottom jaw. He'll be very annoyed. Very annoyed. don't know if he's left the red, if there's any consolation to be had. I don't think he'll be easily consoled after that. John have to just play a little swerve to get to the red, just to hit it. Well, you might have missed it, but the U's and R's told you what happened. Played a few strange shots this frame. There's John Higgins.
Yeah,
there it is again. Just got the slide more than he was expecting. The one consolation, the red's not an absolute sitter, this one. The more pace that Jordan plays on this, it's not a sitter, far from it. Yeah, it's not easy, that.
I thought you put the cue ball a bit far to the right as we look. I thought he perhaps could have even put it just to the left of the brown there. He seemed to play it sort of wide angle into the pocket for some reason. I don't know why. Funny ball in hand, of course, you know, you can put it anywhere in the D. That's obvious to anyone who knows snooker well, but if you don't, I think he could have easily put it a little straighter to play that red, and I think it would have given him more chance of knocking it in. Ah, wow. What about that for that absolute screamer? It was about 50 times more difficult than the last red that he missed. It's tremendous.
Yeah, stick that one in the hot shot reel. Now he's not going to press here, just tickling John in behind the green. I think it's quite a good play. Oh, that is a poor shot. That is a horrible shot by Jordan. He knows it. He doesn't need anyone, certainly not me telling him, but to not get the snooker there, that's poor.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to refuse the green, not only have you got to get the snooker, you've got to make it a nasty one. And he's done none of those things. Occasionally it can work out in your favour, but clearly it was a poor shot on the back of a good one. John is living very dangerously here. Those balls could have finished anywhere.
So this red, it's very thin, but it does cut in. I wonder if he's got any aspirations, if he plays the pot, of trying to lift the other one. No, it was not the angle, but he's quite nicely on the blue. Just needs to run if he wants to play the double on the red, which is on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on now, isn't it? It's as I said earlier, I think sometimes with these doubles, it's almost where you put the cue ball. You know, if you can put the cue ball in a certain position, then you really fancy the double. If you're sort of playing it, almost cutting the red back as a back double, it's not so easy. I think level would be absolutely A1. Level with the red. That's not bad. It is a slight back double, this one, so it's just a bit more difficult if there was a ball's width
6
further down. But he'll still fancy it.
Yeah, it's one that I think, I don't know if he, odds-wise, it's maybe a odds against, but very makeable. Got to get on a colour though, 30 behind. You know, at least he has missed it in the correct way, if you get my meaning.
I don't know if he'd have missed it if he'd have played it plain ball. He screwed it into the cushion. I always worry about that, how it might change the the angle slightly on those shots. Anyway, this frame, John Higgins should have won it about 15 minutes ago, and he just can't quite get over the line here. Well, after all of that, he's got another chance, albeit, yeah, I mean, this is a ticklish one. He should get it, but just a slightly acute angle. He's got to roll it.
Yes, it'll be a mightily
One.
relieved John Higgins to eventually get this frame secured. I mean, even there, his cue ball's not brilliant. Yeah, the frame should be won. But
6.
it's almost that blue there, almost like making sure of the pot. 36 in front.
John Higgins.
Don't foresee Jordan
6.
coming back to the table.
And frame.
And indeed he stays in his chair, so not without one or two trials and tribulations. John Higgins did get frame 6 on the board. It was much needed. And yeah, so off we go. Frame 7, Jordan Brown leading by 4 frames to 2. You always feel, don't you, and we say it often, but it's kind of true, that while Jordan is still in 4 frames, John Higgins will still hold aspirations of winning this match. No problem, but he knows that if he can start finding some of his best form, which has been in evidence this week, still well within his compass of getting the job done, and he's been gifted an opening starter here. That Rogue Red coming up table. Dispatched, no problem. So into the full face of the bunch, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth keeping your eye on the cue ball on this shot. If the cue ball stays in the centre of the table and doesn't veer off towards the cushion, it means he hit it well. Well, it has done that, so yes, it's a good shot, but it's not quite, I don't think, how he meant it. I think he tried to get fully into the bunch, but it just
6.
skewed off to the left a touch. But either way, you need luck on that shot, and it worked out pretty well.
Seven. $14. $50.
I think what would make John feel better if he could get a frame 1 with a sizable break in one visit now. Of course, that would help any player, but just about the context of that sort of break in this match, I think it would send out a message to Jordan Brown that Higgins is very much still in it. He hasn't played brilliantly so far, but we know how quickly things can turn around at this game. So if he could get in and score heavily here, I think we'd have a real game on our hands.
$23.
I think it looks to me as if he'd prefer the cue ball on the right side of the bunch that goes, because he might have to go into them, because pink's just stopping him from screwing back to the right, bottom red. So what are his options here? Is he going to nudge them? I don't think he wants to. Pink is the ball that's just stopping his plans working out. I'll be pleased with that, although, as I say, I don't think it was his first choice shot to play.
28.
Yeah, that's a couple of times today when he's had a chance to go into reds. Yeah, he did on that occasion, obviously, but he had one in the previous frame when he, of his own doing, he tied up pink and black, and he didn't go in early. So some days you just feel like you're bound to be on one, some days not. Perhaps today he just feels that things aren't going his way, and that kind of, you get hesitancy as far as going into the reds early. But he did play that beautifully and should now be well set, providing he can keep close order with his cue ball.
$36.
Of course, he's lost a number of high-profile
37.
matches in the last couple of years from position of strength, but it's kind of role reversal as far as this match is concerned. 4-1 behind. There's an art to it, isn't there, being able to play from... Oh dear, oh dear. John Higgins. He looks good in stages, and then for whatever reason today, he's just thrown in a howler now and again, and that was one right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can work out whether that might have just dropped in had the red not been there, because it was there, but just curious to know. He overcut it clearly. Would it have just dropped in off the bottom jaw without hitting the red if it hadn't have been there? Anyway, all that is academic, really. There's another chance, and as much as John has disappointed himself with that a lot, now again, if Jordan Brown doesn't take this chance and John still wins the frame, then Jordan will be getting anxious, so he's got to capitalise. And he appears to be playing well enough to do it. He's played well today, Jordan. I must admit, I did think that was a strange play to be low in the black from this side that he's on, because none of the reds go to right corner directly. Sure, the one nearest the cue ball at the moment does, but he has to land nicely on it or play a cannon. That'll do. He's going to need the red
22
parked on the end cushion. But as we know, they're more than playable along the cushion this week, so it's not as concerning as it might be. Of course, just got to take care of business first and foremost and get the loose ones out the way. Struck that nicely. Just overcooked a fraction. Still okay.
30.
Yeah, he'd be annoyed to have gone that far, though, only because he had so many choices there. Anywhere on that right side of the table, he could have played on any one of three. So now all of a sudden, he's on him a little bit here because he shouldn't be in this position. Oh, goodness me. He'll be enraged to have missed that.
Jordan Brown, 30.
He knows it was a massive chance missed there. Massive chance.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. It was awkward, the red. I think it was one of those, if he'd been left that by a mistake by John, it wouldn't have been a problem, knocked it in, but it was a mistake of his own doing, and John Higgins isn't going to continue, you wouldn't think, to make these elementary mistakes that have crept into his game so far in this match. At the moment, Jordan actually is the one under a wee bit of heat.
Eight.
Of course, it's,
9.
it's nice to lead 4-1 in any match, of course it is, but it brings its own sort of pressure where now you're supposed to make good on that lead and get the match won. He's now going to be under pressure to do so, you feel.
$16. $17.
One thing Johnny's very good at is reading the signs, and he'll know that Jordan will be slightly rattled by the context of this frame and how it's
24.
worked out. He didn't play that one perfectly. He kind of checked the cue ball a little bit, and it slowed it down off the cushion. Played it with check side, which was left of centre striking
25.
on the red that he screwed onto the cushion. Anyway, recovered it, and now he only wants the blue. And he'll drop this red down the cushion. And I'll tell you what, he's dodged a bullet here. Could have lost both of the last two frames from positions of strength. Jordan will know that he should be on 5 at least in frames. He hasn't capitalised on quite serious Higgins mistakes.
John Higgins, 31. In the frame.
Yeah, the black stays up, but it matters not. John Higgins, again, it wasn't a clean win in frame 7, but he got the job done, and he's back to 1 behind at 4-3. This one is that Jordan Brown could, well, I suppose it might be a wee bit ambitious to say he could have won by now, but he certainly could be on 5 frames, as Neil Foulds rightly said. The tail end of that previous frame, so there's a wee bit of concern in the air for Jordan Brown fans. Still in control of the match, but only just. John Higgins hot on his heels. Always a huge frame, best of 11. Obviously, they're going to be a best of 3 at 4-all, or Jordan Brown re-establishing superiority. But he's the man under pressure, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jordan, what he's got to take out of what we've seen so far is he's playing well. He is playing well. To get 4-1 up, he played beautifully. But now he's gone away from how well he's playing, and now it's got a little bit psychological. Just a tiny bit, which changes everything. That fluke will help him, even if he can't get on the colour. But it's just turned into a game where he's playing well. Now it's slightly in his head, somewhere in the back of his mind, that while he'd have taken 4-3 at the beginning of the match, he certainly wouldn't have done about 20 minutes ago.
Jordan Brown, 1.
And Higgins will be aware that that's slightly left the door open for him now. So a lot of this game is played between the ears, and I think both of these two have got their own thoughts on that as the match progresses.
Yeah, just on that, touching again on the Champion of Champions race for next week. As we said earlier, Ding Junhui at the moment is the man in possession of the jersey, if you like. What he needs is, well, ideally himself to win it, but he can also be in it if he doesn't win it. 5 other players who are still left in this tournament winning, and he's got a good 5 batting for him. If Mark Selby, Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins, Ali Carter or Barry Hawkins, or indeed Ding himself, were to win this tournament, then Ding will get his place in the Champion of Champions next week.
Yeah, and just the last thing on that I will say is that, you know, if any of those don't win it, I mean, who is going to win it? It's a question. Clearly, Jordan Brown's won a ranking event before he could. I suppose the other player is Yang Ander, who seems to be in the form of his life. I couldn't have had him down to win a tournament like this a few weeks ago. But he played quite beautifully in the English. So he's much improved. So he, I suppose, has a squeak. And then who does it leave? McGill, I suppose, with his new cue. Graphite cue. Who's got to beat O'Sullivan, which he's done at the...
Maguire and Ryan Day play one another, so there's one who's going to be in the quarter-final draw tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was remiss of me not to mention those two. And the other thing I will say is isn't it good to see Maguire playing well again? Because he's definitely playing better. I mean, he should have beaten Judd Trump twice in a few weeks, because he had him beaten in Belfast and couldn't quite get over the line, but he's done it here. And Ryan Day, well, we know what he's capable of anyway. He's capable of winning anything. Just doesn't always play the same.
Cast iron safety shot by John. I think the first thing to note here is, can he see a red full ball? We're going to find out. Yes, he can. And the one he can see full ball, it's not an awful lot of use to him. Jordan, there's no immediate danger. He's got a fairly straightforward 2-cushion escape to lay on the pack of reds. Gotta be careful. But nicely played. Yeah, what do you do from here?
Well, maybe you just rack them up, because the cue ball's just buried now. I honestly think that this has got some re-rack potential.
What would you do there if you were on a colour? I don't know if there was
Well, I
a
think
game.
you'd. Don't know what would happen. Don't know what would happen. I think this has got re-rack potential. I mean, potential is not really the right word about a re-rack, is it? But it's going to be one because that last shot made the escape very difficult. So we're going to set them up again, and that's fair enough, I think.
Yeah, it was one of those which John had a sort of laugh and a joke with Jordan that there was no future there. It would have been tippy-tappy stuff.
Just on what Alan said there, actually, if the cue ball, you're on a colour and you're buried in amongst the reds and you can't get you have to make an attempt to hit a colour, even if you do hit a red on the way through, and otherwise you'd be there all your life trying to hit it. But I've seen it where, I'm sure Alan as well, where it actually does get buried and you have literally no shot, and you've just got an attempt a shot of some description, foul is called, and then that's the end of the matter, basically.
Yeah, so frame 8, take 2
Frame 8.
on the way.
John Higgins to break.
Almost a carbon copy of the the original break-off, if you see what I mean. He's got that red to play the cannon. He somehow or other made the plant last time round. Now, does John get drawn in and tempted here to have a pop at this long red? It's not a John Higgins type of shot, if I'm being honest, but let's see. He's playing it. If he's playing the pot, you think he's got to get this. Certainly hasn't left anything easy, so that's not the worst leave.
Yeah, because you always hope not to leave a ball on a shot like the one that John missed, but you never have any real control over where the red you miss is going to go. But it appears to have dropped in a position which is not easy. Is Jordan having another look at a double here? Not sure, maybe. Possibly only leaving the ball he's playing if he is going for it. Yeah. Maybe an attacking safety shot here. Cue ball in behind brown and green. Playing that sort of wide angle. Of course, you don't know where everything's going to finish. And thankfully for John, that red that went towards the left corner didn't go over it.
This match has just gotten somewhat scrappy, but mistakes coming from either cue now. The scoring has largely dried up. A 57 break in frame 6 by John Higgins, but the last couple of frames have been no great contributions at all.
Just thinking the same thing, actually, that it's turned into a slightly different game of snooker than the one it started with. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because... well, I was going to say Hawkeye got it wrong because I didn't think it went. The red went. John went to play it and he didn't get it. So maybe the camera didn't lie there. Maybe he wasn't on it because it gave us a perspective that he was definitely not on the red. Yeah. John thought he was, and you saw the rest crashed into the black.
Absolutely, I thought the exact same thing, Neil. Didn't look like any way through to that red. Certainly not the pot. Had it full ball, no problem, but. He's counted himself very fortunate. Again, he hasn't left Jordan anything straightforward. And as I say, the rhythm of the match is just completely dissipated. The last 2.5 frames or so. Re-rack and all that, it adds to the mix. That's the kind of thing that happens. You play a shot to nothing, it lands awkward, players hampered. It stops any flow of the game at all. That was a safety shot of supreme quality. Yeah, top of the table. Half a dozen of them by Jordan, still going. Yeah, no wonder, that was a beauty. Saying that, surmising that Jordan Brown's now under pressure in this match. He's under pressure. Just watch this shot here. He's under pressure in another sense, I feel. As far as the Grand Prix list is concerned, playing today for 8,000 points at least, and of course there might be more to come in the quarterfinals and going on from that. But he's number 37 at the moment in the Grand Prix list, so a win today would go a long way to giving him a good chance of securing a place in that World Grand Prix post New Year. He'll know that because Neil said earlier he's a bit of a snooker geek, and he'll know all the numbers that are required.
Meanwhile, John is determined to try and pop that red into that left corner, one way or another. Same red that he hit the black on the way through to.
What?
Slightly awkward. I mean, of course, that mentioned earlier, the World Grand Prix is a little further down the line in the calendar now. So, and he is in the Scottish still, Jordan. So, and the UK is coming. So there's plenty of opportunities. He'll be in the shootout because he's playing anything, I should imagine. So there are other ways of getting into that event, but this is a very big way of getting into it. And beyond, with a big run here, you could be in all three events, the 32, 16 and 8-man events on the one-year list. Great shot. But that's the first shot of real positivity he's played for a little while.
6.
That'll make him feel better.
Seven. Thirteen. 14. 19.
Yeah, I don't think he minded being over the top of a ball. His priority was to be low on this red, so he had the chance to get
20.
an angle on the blue, but this time he's not perfectly top side of the blue, so his next red is at mid-range. It's going to be one of those breaks. He may not be elegant, all beautiful shots around the pink and black, but if he can get 50 from here, he'll be very grateful for it, because he's at the point where the match has changed a little bit in its complexion. It's got closer, a bit more edgy.
25. 26.
Probably as bad an angle as you could have, except dead straight. I mean, what do you do with this? Can you take it round the angles? He'd either be further off straight than he is. And at this angle, I think it might be impossible to get behind a red.
Yeah, just to let you know, we have our first quarter finalist. Ali Carter has completed a 6-1 victory against Daniel Wells on the outside table, so he is the first man through
31.
to tomorrow's quarter-finals. Playing beautifully, he certainly did today, as he did yesterday in a 6-4 win against Stuart Bingham, with 3 centuries in a row at one stage to boot. So, Ali Carter in the quarter-finals, awaiting the winner of Ronnie O'Sullivan and Anthony McGill, the
31.
feature match of the evening session in Tianjin.
Yes, Ali Carter started that match with back-to-back hundreds, so he certainly made his intentions known early on.
How ambitious, if at all, is John here to get the reds in the open? Perhaps not. Maybe just a wee bit too risky. 38 behind, so just looking to contain for the time being. Just another update quickly. Zhang Anda now leading 5 frames to 2 against Liu Hao Tian on the other outside table. Just on Zhang Anda, a quote from Mark Williams. It was his own quote, I think it was his own tweet or whatever they call it these days. He said, "It's as good as anyone's ever played against me." When Zhang Anda taken out days ago. So he'll take a lot of stopping in this event. Not there yet in the quarterfinals, but clearly in great form. Unlike, just for the moment, John Higgins, whose struggles continue.
Yep, for sure. He has won the last 2 frames, but I don't think you'd know it by his overall demeanour out there. A series of mobile phones have been going off, that one with a musical accompaniment. So another chance for Jordan Brown. Again, the angle on the blue is not great for getting down for a red.
That was a lovely shot. The other thing that shot tells you, the fact that he's got a sitter of a blue. Yes, Neil's correct. No obvious position from it, but that pink was a tough shot to play. So the fact that he played it and fancied it tells you that he's still in a nice positive frame of mind.
Eight.
Because it's always worth noting, you can lead the great champions of this game, as Jordan did earlier, 4 frames to 1. You've still got to put them away. They're not going to hand you the match on a platter. So you've got to remain positive all the way to the tape.
He's coming in very close to the reds. If that bottom one goes, I mean, you're a little too close for comfort, because the distance you put between the 2 balls, that actually helps you positionally. Does the red go is the question. He's having a long look at it. I always think that from behind the pocket you get a better perspective. Well, we're not quite behind the pocket, so I don't know on that one. Sure, it would be out. So no further in this break. So 48 the lead, a good lead, but all this John Higgins will come and dish up on you at some point later.
John will see this as a very good chance to get tight in behind that brown. Making use of the green as well, so that was clever. Don't know whether he played the single red or the bunch, but he played it with quite a lot of pace, didn't he? And he hasn't left a sitter far from it, but it's a half chance. If this red goes in, I think he'd be automatically on the black.
Yes, it is a half chance, but it might end up more than that. I suppose two or three shots down the line, pots black, red gets on the black, and all of a sudden it looks a little different. I think that's okay. He's gone low on the red, which a conscious effort to go low. So the cue was basically touching the cushion, or very close to, is dropping this red in. They're not going too badly along the cushion, are they, this week? You know, even that one, it was very easily potted, but it did brush the cushion. I've seen tables where they will stay out. I don't know why it is, but the table they always use for the shootout seems to get very tight, and I don't know why, for the life of me, that would be the case. But come the last day, hardly anything goes down the bottom cushion. Anyhow,
17.
Bottom red pops to the right corner. Very interesting stage of this match, because Jordan's been in twice already, and if this frame goes against him as well, well, it'd be hard to chance him to win the match somehow. Even at 4-4 with everything to play for, I know who'd be the happier of the two, and it wouldn't be Jordan Brown.
22, 24. $25.
A mini mistake there when John played the brush cannon on the initial red, not to release one. Still has the plant. I just wonder if he's going to lift or attempt to lift the red off this.
32.
The one near the left side cushion. Difficult to tell whether he has the optimum angle, but going deep on the cue ball, so just hedging bets, playing for brown and bulk. Sorry, my mistake, holding for blue, but either way, this is developing into a crucial juncture of this match.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on what happens to that left-hand red here. Now he can get on it, whether he ends up doubling it again. But I should think that wouldn't be his first option. As good as he is at playing doubles, he'd like to get it into play if that is available to him. I mean, he could
39.
consider doing it from the red down the middle of the table. He could play on the red low here and move the other red straight after. Wow.
John Higgins.
Is that John
39.
Higgins getting ahead of himself, thinking about what I was saying? Not me personally, but thinking about the same thing that I was thinking, in that he wants to get the other end in play, and he just forgot the obvious bit. All he wants to do is pot it. Now is Jordan going to play the same shot that John has left him? I think he's going to try and move the red.
One.
Oh well. Could have been worse.
Yeah, so he has an angle here. It's a nice target to play off the end cushion and punch the red into the open. He just got a bit too much check on it. Does he hold any aspirations of taking this red on? You wouldn't have thought so, certainly not on normal circumstances. Just the way the table is and the mistakes that John has been making, it's time to discretion be the better part of valour. But that is a howler. That is a terrible shot. He's lucky that it stuck to the end cushion. That was a poor one, but you take all you get out there when you get a little bit of luck. That was a bad shot, but it's gone safe. I suppose that's all that matters.
Yeah, so it feels like a big frame, doesn't it? It's almost like a decider, this, and it's nowhere near being one of those. It might still get one in about an hour's time, because it's getting nervy. That was not as played. He got a big double kiss there.
It's all about the red here. Can he somehow get it safe? I suppose it could have been worse. Again, that's the last couple of shots. He's somehow got the cue ball, the red, sorry, to stick near the cushion. But for an inch to the left, it would be an absolute sitter, but it's not a sitter, this. He wants to hang as much pace off it as he can. Always missable.
It's just that you have to put that bit of extra pace into them, isn't it? And they are missable even on these pockets. So you know that Tom Ford has now gone 4-3 up on Mark's 3-1 Selby at the mid-session. So well, that's getting quite in, as is this. Well, I think he tried to kiss the brown there and get Snooker behind the yellow. Either way, it could have been worse where he's finished. And look where that is. This is horrid cueing. Especially at this kind of distance, because it's hard to focus on cue ball and object ball. You've got to look so far down the table. Very difficult. Well, he struggled on it, as you saw, but may have been helped by the blue. Well now, Red has finished in a slightly awkward place again, but it's away from the cushion this time. And the one problem John would have here, you'd say, just getting out of bulk and getting to the point where he can knock a colour in, in which case, a big shot, this one. If he pots it and gets nicely on a colour, then you get the feeling he's pulled another frame back here.
Yeah, good call, Neil. That was the problem, wasn't it? Getting deep enough and pacey enough to get it out of that bulk area, just about on the yellow. And it will go on the black spot, we think, so all might not be lost.
No, but strangely, he's got the angle to get down for the yellow again from the black spot, isn't he? It's almost a natural to finish down there. I don't know, it may go on its own spot. It's one that sometimes you don't actually know for sure until the referee respots it. Sometimes you're 50-50. You can't take a ball out of the pocket and measure it or anything. That's considered a foul.
Yellow ball.
Well, John must think it goes. Otherwise he would have played it differently. It's a very odd shot. What did he play there even?
Yeah, I do think he played the cannon on the brown to release the yellow. He must obviously think it spots. Well, that's obvious, but...
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, so it clearly does. At least...
that would have been some shot, wouldn't it, to get the brown out and be on the yellow.
3.
It's an odd situation, that, really, because had it not spotted, he could have played it on the black spot. Quite unusual at the end of a frame to see the balls like that.
I suppose in the end he could be grateful for small mercies, the fact that he could just see the right edge of that yellow.
3. Foul.
Well, he wanted the thinnest of edges.
John Higgins. 4.
I think they called a miss there, but even then, I can't imagine John will have it put back. There's not really a lot he can do except just play this. It's a strange frame, isn't it? There's a few oddities that have happened in it, but it feels a very important frame at the very same time. Well, that's a bit of a tester, isn't it? What does he do here? I mean, queuing over the green is one thing, but the yellow and the black where they're placed means this is not the simplest of shots. I think he'd like to hit the left side as we look of the yellow. Has played it pretty well. I mean, it just feels that both players are part way gone, if you know what I'm saying. Not that they won't return. And for Jordan Brown to be 2 up with 3 to play would be massive. Whereas if John got level up, it'd be hard to know what would happen from here. So this frame seems to be have an awful lot riding on it. It's not been a pretty frame, but that won't matter to whoever wins it. I think you played that pretty well, all things considered. Yellow was always going to be covered by the brown, and the little nudge on the pinks probably helped him.
Yeah, okay, now this is one that John will half fancy. The only thing, the natural path of the cue ball would, I think, finish on the green to left bulk pocket. Should be far from a sitter. Yeah, I got it way too thick anyway, so he's left there yellow, but how does Jordan get to green? It just might be a wee bit on the straight side. In fact, it might be one of those, it's not impossible, but to get on the green from here, devil's own job. Good effort.
2.
It's a risky old shot, actually, but he's okay, I think. 10 in front on the green. It's a deceptively small lead, that. Because you still, if you're 10 in front on the green, you still need 3 balls, and your opponent only 4 from there. Half a chance. If this goes in, it comes round towards the brown, but the tendency would always be to hit it hard enough to get beyond the brown. Yeah, I don't think he's going to play it to finish up where the blue is, because he's not a certainty to pot the green in the first place. Well, he has played it like that. In fairness, he's played exactly that. He's played to hold it for the brown. Excellent stuff. I mean, it's got to go in because he's not putting any distance between the 2 balls if it doesn't, but it did go in. Just one more good shot to play here. He hasn't quite played it. It's almost like this frame would be just too easy
7.
to be won with a simple frame ball. Instead, a less than simple shot.
Yeah, it was never going to be clean cut, you felt. I totally agree, and he's been, well, giving himself 1 or 2 questions to answer. Well, let's be honest, but both players have, especially in this frame. Scoring is completely dried up, but now this is the money ball to get back to 2 in front. Huge shot. And in it goes. So Jordan Brown, after, well, trials and tribulations of his own in this frame, is well and truly going to get over the line. Concern on more than one front, or more than one score for John Higgins, but Jordan Brown, the fact that he's won it, he won't be remotely concerned about the nature of the win in that frame. The point is, he's won from victory. It's 5-3.
Frame 9, Jordan Brown to break.
But Jordan Brown has re-established his superiority, and he has been superior for much of this match, you've got to say. John Higgins has been far from his best, and his best has been very good this week. He's been quite near it. A couple of centuries in every match. Yes, he had a pre-qualifying round in the UK a few weeks prior to the International Championship itself out here. 3 6-1 victories to take his place in this round of 16. Just to tell you, it looks very much like Zhang Anda is going to get the job done on the outside tables against Lu Haoqian. In fact, virtually over the line now on a break of 74 at 5-3 in front, with just 4 reds. Of course, 59 left on the table, so we can, I think, safely say that Zhang Anda is going to continue that great form that he's been showing of late. Course finalist, runner-up to Judd Trump at Brentwood in the English Open, is through to the quarter-finals, where he will await another all-Chinese clash later this afternoon for you. It's Ding Junhui against Pang Junsu.
One.
Yeah, just confirmation of that now, well past the post. On a break of 88 with just 51 remaining on the table. But the story here is Jordan Brown looking to have confidence. He's been by far the better player, you've got to say, in this match.
Yeah, it would be hard to argue that, wouldn't it? You know, but sometimes, you know, you lose a frame or two that you should win, and it doesn't feel that way. But I think that the scoreline doesn't do him an injustice.
Jordan Brown, 4.
Still got to get over the line. Of course, that's difficult, and John knows you can lose matches like this because, goodness, he's lost a few from strong positions in the last 2 years. So maybe he'd like to do the same to somebody else. Quite a bad mistake, really. It wasn't as if Jordan was in a lot of trouble there. Much too much of the red, and it chased the cue ball down the table.
One.
Once again, John struggling to get through the cue ball properly, so he's got to recycle this in and out of balk. Just at the moment, he can't buy a positional shot. Still on the red, but not easy.
6.
Yeah, he's struggling, isn't he? Just generally, shot by shot, you feel it's all turned into a bit of a struggle. And it has been for the most of the day, quite honestly. He hasn't really played well at any point. He's threatened to. When he picked up an early frame, second frame I think it was, where he was 50 behind, done his usual trademark clearance. But aside from that, it's not been the John Higgins that he would like. No, he has not played all that well. Nice pot that though. Now is there anything available to the right corner? He deserves to be on one. Because he hit that really with great authority.
13.
For one of the first times of the day. I don't think anything goes. Maybe there is one. Oh wow, through the cap. There you have it. John will be hopping mad at that.
13.
Because he was a little lucky in the end to be on it, but he was not really hampered by any reds. The gap was there, but he somehow just missed the pot.
One.
Just come hampered on the red. Just overrun the cue ball by
8.
3 or 4 inches to make this awkward. Just looking for that one good positional shot. So often, isn't it, in the match-winning position. See there how awkward this is.
It was awkward, but didn't he play it well? He played it as if he thought he would still get it.
Sixty. $17.
Well, I think you can just see in the distance the winning line here. I mean, it
24.
shouldn't be a hindrance, it should be a positive. Because it would be a very big win for him.
25.
good split. Is he on the red to right middle? If he is, it's a bona fide chance to get Freeman match one. He is on it.
Yeah, that's really changed everything. What a chance. I mean, yes, he had that one winner 11 years ago in a European Tour event, which was a pretty irrelevant game. And then he got absolutely in the Players' Championship 2021. So if you could turn over John Higgins here in Tianjin in the International, then that would be a very satisfying victory. And it's definitely on the cards. He's got to keep his composure. He doesn't really want to be playing this red along the cushion. He'll be playing on the reds in the middle of the table. Oh, he'll do a nice shot. He's on the red to middle, if nothing else.
48.
Yeah, it was a proper snooker player's shot, that, wasn't it? Just get the cue ball into open space. 99 times out of 100, you'd be nicely on one, and he is. So this red for 40 in front.
49.
Two more reds following this blue, and he'll be in the quarter-final.
Well, you know what happened the last time he hit this kind of form, Jordan Brown, and was beating top players, because he'd already beaten David Gilbert and Karen Wilson here this week. And he's scores, he'll know that there'll be 60 in it when this is potted. Still not playing on the bottom red. Still taking the loose one, and this red goes in and this match is over. John Higgins will have another disappointment, although not a close match. So many matches are in any way taking their toll. I think John's been ticking over quite at the outside tables. Here he is on the main table, and he hasn't played well. By his high standards, he'll be, I think, the first to admit that. And no question, the best players won on the day. Jordan has played some good stuff. Been a few bumps in the road, but he's got there.
Yes, he has, and he's well past the point now. Let's hope he can finish with a nice century and cut to middle. Yeah, nicely done. Brilliant stuff this by Jordan Brown, finishing in style.
56.
It'll be such a pleasing victory, won't it? As you rightly said, the
89.
victory against John in a low ball sort of match way back when.
91.
And then a heavy defeat in the Players' Championship, which was a tournament I know he was really looking forward to playing in, and he got dusted by the great man on that occasion, but not today. He's been by far the better player, and he fully deserves his place in the quarter-final.
98.
This blue then to finish with a century. No problem at all. Jordan Brown finishing with a flourish. Good to see him reminding everyone of the form that he's capable of, and he will be a handful in the quarter-finals. He will be awaiting the winner of Stephen Maguire and Ryan Day, but for now he's the victor, and a convincing victor in the end against the great John Higgins. John didn't turn up with anything like his best stuff, but that's not the concern of the big fella from Northern Ireland. He moves on safely to the quarter-final, and we'll look forward to seeing more of Jordan Brown tomorrow. A winner in the end, 6-3. So Jordan Brown just gathering his bits and pieces and extensions, and he can go and have a nice evening in Tianjin, have a bit of dinner and get himself ready for tomorrow. So we can just on the latest results and indeed one or two matches.